It appears that more than just Marvel's first family will jump from Fantastic Four first steps to the Avengers. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige announced the connection between Fantastic Four and Avengers, Doomsday in a new showcase. It's already been confirmed that Marvel's first family will jump from Fantastic Four first steps to Avengers, Doomsday, but beyond that, it's unclear which other characters from their reboot will leap with them. An obvious candidate would be Franklin Richards, the son of Reed Richards and Susan Storm. It is hard to believe the Fantastic Four would leave him home with a nanny while they went to another universe to stop Dr. Doom. However, something Feige said might illuminate who else will join the fray. They wrap next week. The movie, The Fantastic Four, First Steps, comes out next summer, and then all those characters go right into the next Avengers movies, so I'm very excited for the future of the Fantastic Four. When Feige said, all those characters, it seems to suggest he's speaking beyond the titular four. It'd be odd to say it if he only referred to Reed Richards, Susan Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm. This could mean characters like Galactus, the Silver Surfer, Franklin Richards, and possibly Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom may join Marvel's first family in the journey from First Steps to Avengers, Doomsday and Secret Wars. During Disney's APAC Content Showcase 2024 in Singapore, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige announced not only that filming for the Fantastic Four First Steps would wrap next week, but that all those characters go right into the next Avengers movies. It would also be a surprise if Galactus weren't accompanied by his herald, who could still be Julia Garner's Silver Surfer. In their first meeting in the comics, Doom stole the power cosmic from a herald, which could happen again in Avengers, Doomsday. Then there's Franklin, the omnipotent son of Reed Richards and Susan Storm, someone who, even as a child, scared Galactus with his boundless potential. At the end of 2015's Secret Wars in Marvel Comics, Franklin helped recreate the multiverse after it was destroyed in the incursions. Considering the lore from the comic books, Ralph Ineson's Galactus getting involved in Doom's machinations makes sense for the character. He is a cosmic being who has existed since the beginning of each new incarnation of a universe and helps maintain its delicate balance, which Doom would disrupt. Finally, there are rumors that Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom will appear in Fantastic Four, so he'd only be expected to follow Reed Richards and his accused family into his movie. Whatever the case, it's apparent that Reed Richards, Susan Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm won't be the only ones making their way from First Steps into Doomsday. Even for all the success Kevin Feige has had with the MCU, he is still looking for ways to make the franchise better. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Kevin Feige criticized the Marvel Cinematic Universe for being too inaccessible to audiences who have not been keeping up with the story for years. During an era in which the multiverse saga has more releases in 4 years than the Infinity Saga did in 11 years, the current on-screen Marvel Universe is a lot, sometimes too much, to handle for those who haven't watched the majority of recent projects. Marvel Studios' top executive is currently leading an internal overhaul for the MCU, making fewer TV shows and standalone stories that don't require extensive knowledge of the franchise's history. As reported by the Wall Street Journal, Feige recently told colleagues that watching all of the MCU's new TV shows and movies was starting to feel more like homework than entertainment. This was partially in an effort to placate Disney, the MCU's parent company, which depended on Marvel to help boost Disney Plus subscribers and to maintain a strong, steady output of interconnected superhero stories on the streaming service. This led to not only viewers feeling overwhelmed, but Feige and his team also having their resources stretched thin, which then diluted the quality of many recent MCU releases. Feige reportedly told industry colleagues he went along with that plan because of his ambition to get new stories out and to be an excellent corporate citizen. However, this plan overwhelmed the studio. Feige had to make countless more decisions on a daily basis, even with multiple showrunners and executives overseeing each individual new project. He was also difficult to get a hold of for feedback on each project, with that feedback sometimes being irrelevant due to how tight deadlines were to get shows out to the public. Currently, Marvel and its top executive are working to get the MCU back on track through a major overhaul. Along with only releasing about 3 movies and 2 TV shows per year, scaling back on output, Feige is focused more heavily on the MCU's movie slate after films like Captain America, Brave New World underperformed in theaters. Additionally, a former Marvel employee touched on Disney's recent strategy of populating Disney Plus with as much content as possible. According to that source, the strategy became just expansion, expansion, expansion after the Infinity Saga. 2025 is the final year fans will see this kind of quantity released under the Marvel Studios umbrella after Disney CEO Bob Iger returned to his post, replacing former successor Bob Chapek. This year will bring 3 new movies and 6 new Disney Plus shows before the MCU's overall output is reduced in 2026. Currently, Marvel Studios is busy promoting the release of Thunderbolts *, the final movie in the MCU's Phase 5 slate, which is now in theaters. Florence Pugh's Yelena Belova and a unique team of misfits are brought together in this film to take down the ultra-powerful Sentry, who is said to be one of the most powerful villains in MCU history. Feige reportedly told industry colleagues he went along with that plan because of his ambition to get new stories out and to be an excellent corporate citizen. However, this plan overwhelmed the studio. Feige had to make countless more decisions on a daily basis, even with multiple showrunners and executives overseeing each individual new project. He was also difficult to get a hold of for feedback on each project, with that feedback sometimes being irrelevant due to how tight deadlines were to get shows out to the public. This was already seen in Thunderbolts *, which took the time to touch on all of its leading characters in order to catch fans up with their MCU journeys to that point. It will also be especially important moving forward into Phase 6, which will arguably be the franchise's most monumental slate of movies ever. Specifically, Avengers. Doomsday will take a bold step forward with at least 27 confirmed cast members, whose characters will come from as many as 6 or 7 different universes. This will go even further in Avengers: Secret Wars, which is teased to be the biggest crossover event in comic book movie history. As noted, Marvel Studios is in the midst of a major change in strategy, which will lead to a more streamlined and centralized release schedule in the coming years. Along with that, the specific projects released are likely to not be as necessary for fans to have watched ahead of each upcoming release. While much of Phase 6 is still being kept a mystery, particularly on the Disney Plus side, the expectation is that everything coming up will be much more digestible for those who are not die-hard MCU fans. The Marvel Studios boss expressed deep concern over the state of the movie-going experience. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit in early 2020, just about everyone and everything was entirely upended. With much of the planet's population rendered unable to go anywhere, recreational activities such as going to the movies took a nosedive. And Marvel was certainly not exempt from this drop-off. 2020 was the first year in over a decade that the blockbuster studio didn't release any new MCU content, leaving much of its slate pushed back on the calendar. Of course, the MCU came back in a big way the next year with over 8 projects released between cinemas and Disney+. But that stretch of time in 2020, as it turned out, didn't do wonders for Feige's stress level. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige admitted to being in a state of worry over the pandemic's impact on the MCU's movies. Feige continued, emphasizing the cultural crossover brought forth by sitting in a movie theater auditorium and taking in a feature film with others from all walks of life. But I also think nothing beats the shared